My name's Andrea. I work for Oculyze. I do the marketing and PR. What our team does, we have three main co-founders. First is Dr. Katja Schulze, Dr. Ulrich Tillich, and Kilian Moser. So Kilian and Uli were longtime friends. They both grew up in Venezuela, German parents. Kilian worked for Porsche, Latin America. So he is one of our CEOs who deals with the business side of things. And then there's Uli, who does, he has a PhD in bioinformatics and biotechnology. And he does more of the hardware development, CTO, and he also helps Kilian on that side. And Katja is our image recognition expert, computer vision expert. So what we do is we are a twofold system. So we created a solution for people who need microscopes and analysis. So on one side, we developed a device, a mobile microscope. And on the other, we developed a software, image recognition software, that analyzes microscopic data from the biology sector. So our first market that we went into is craft breweries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know much about the brewing process.
I do. I used to make my own beer. So
okay.
Yes.
So have you ever monitored your yeast?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, no. Not to that. I never took it to that level. No.
Okay. So in order for a company to scale, a brewery to scale, they need to monitor yeast. So what monitoring your yeast means is testing for viability and concentration. So basically what the end effect is that you have consistency in your beer and you have the flavor that you want.
Yeah.
So many breweries are not actually testing their yeast. And the ones that are, they're doing it manually. So they have large microscopes that are not very portable. They do the concentration manually. So there's a lot of human error involved.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we created a mobile device that attaches to the smartphone. And they dilute their sample, yeast sample. They enter it into this small chamber. They put it under the device. I can show you a picture later for your purposes. And they take 5 separate pictures, and as each picture is taken, it's sent automatically to the cloud to our software, and in seconds there's analysis.
Okay.
So typically the manual takes up to 20 minutes, even longer, and you're supposed to be monitoring your yeast daily, at least.
Supposed to? Like
Yes,
legally? Or
no. Just to have that, to have the quality that you want in the end. So...
would this also work for, I don't know, the only other people I can think who use yeast extensively are bakers, I suppose. But
there would be no reason for them to necessarily microscopically analyze their yeast. But so this is just one. So our image recognition software looks at the yeast cells and analyzes the data from there. So our next market is going to be into the dairy cow market.
Okay.
So the importance here is that a dairy cow can only be pregnant once a year. And,
really? Okay.
Yes. So farmers hire a vet to inseminate the cow so that it can get pregnant. But oftentimes they have infection in their uterus it doesn't cause the cow pain. You can't see it. You don't know. So a vet would have to come in, do the test, take it back to the lab, do the testing and analysis, and then take it back, either treat it or inseminate it. But often this also costs money, and so does sperm. So they'll either do the testing or inseminate the cow, hoping that she's fine. And what it means, if she has the infection, she can't get pregnant, so the cow ends up being
useless for a year.
Useless, or sometimes they let her go. So if they're not getting pregnant, they're not producing milk, and so forth and so forth.
And have you had to change the device at all, or is it
the device?
Just the software that changed?
Just the software. So that's the beauty of it. We have a lot of different markets that we want to go into. There's also malaria testing, blood analyses, testing for water quality, for lake monitoring systems, things like this.
This is interesting because I've seen people making products for most of those other use cases, but they, as far as I know, always usually those single use cases.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who's created something that can be used in multiple instances, even if they are doing the same thing as you and like doing one first and then...
From what we know, so the competitors that we have in the brewing industry, for instance, is any type of microscope.
Yeah.
And a Neubauer, which is this chamber that helps you count your concentration manually, right? There's also other cell counters, but the issue is they're bulky and they're very expensive. They can't be taken anywhere you want, and the chambers that you put in are non-reusable, so they have to keep paying for those. And what our system does is basically it brings the lab to a brewery in a very easy way. He can take it anywhere he wants. There's lower human error, almost no human error actually. So this is our focus, and from what we've seen in the market, it doesn't exist. Our focus and our strength is in image recognition software, computer vision, but we realize that in the market nothing exists that in terms of a mobile microscope that analyzes up to 400 times. The mobile microscopes that exist are often for play use, for teaching children, things like this. This is why we wanted to do this sort of both sides solution.
And I can't remember, is the device it connects to a smartphone? No, so it does,
The way that it works is it's right now here.
I won't take a photo of a photo.
So it slides onto this LG model, and the reason we're doing it right now, it fits this phone because the front camera is incredible, better than an iPhone. So what we need is for a system, it gets smarter with more photos. So in the beginning, we need to get qualities of equal, photos of equal quality.
Yeah.
This is why we chose to use it on this one device. We are in the works for a prototype that works with any device, so that it's not using the camera of the smartphone, but you can plug it in with a USB or micro USB so they can take it even further.
Yeah. And at the moment, and in the future, how will it... so this connects by USB to the phone? Or?
No, it just under here is what connects to the lens. So you use the smartphone microphone,
So
the camera.
Yeah, this is going straight. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
This top part spins and allows for focus, and this plastic thing underneath is the chamber.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the software, you say it's all cloud-based, so easy to add new...
Exactly. And when there are updates, it's done automatically.
Yeah.
The systems that exist now, they're physical devices, so it's not so easy to, if there are updates, it's most likely an updated version of it and not just through the cloud.
And what have been some of the challenges of creating the software, the image recognition software?
I can't personally speak to that, but I can get you in touch with our computer vision expert.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say something and that not be true.
Okay. But, and how... All right. Let's see, maybe if you know the answer to this question, like how do you test it? How do you know...
that it works?
Yeah.
So we did a validation with brewing industry in Berlin. Organization, in Berlin. I can send you their details. So we did a validation of our system and compared it to other systems that exist. And they have validated that it works and that it's... equal or better than the systems that exist in terms of analysis.
And are brewers using it?
Yes, so we have 7 customers in different regions, most in Europe. We have a couple in the States and sold 1 device last week in China. Okay. We also have 6 piloting customers, which means we have a 30-day trial period, so they just... pay for the initial setup costs, and then after that they can test it 30 days. It's basically just allowing them to test it and to show them that it works so that they believe that it works.
So and what's the cost then?
So our typical and most popular option is the 2,000 euros.
Okay.
So that includes the device and unlimited analysis for 12 months. And after that it becomes their property.
Okay.
And then after that, they can decide how they want to go. We also offer per analysis price options and also per month.
And can people use the software with other devices? Or I'm not sure if such a thing exists, but...
Yes, image recognition software exists, but not in microscopic analysis.
But if I have my own digital microscope or something, can I just send the images to your service? Can I just use the service without the hardware?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I can let you know, but I'm pretty sure this is the reason why we ended up creating the device itself.
It's not an area I know too much about.
Yeah.
So it may not make any sense. So.
No, I think that's why we decided to go with actually making the physical product as well, because nothing of this quality to be able to match the microscopic analysis that you need existed. It's the closest thing to an actual microscope.
So
that
comparing
you would use.
the farming and the brewing industry, I mean, people think of the farming industry as being old-fashioned, but actually it's quite high-tech these days. Yeah. And I'd probably say that maybe the brewing industry was less high-tech. But who has been harder to convince that something like this is useful?
So neither of them are necessarily hard to convince. Okay. So in the farming industry, we are starting piloting in that industry in October. So we're doing the software part of it right now, and then going into that with some distribution partners and cooperations. In terms of the brewers, we attend events. Last week we were in China for a craft brewing event. So our biggest...
In China?
Yeah. It's a growing market there. So our biggest issue right now, and maybe many startups will understand, is time and lack of personnel. Sure. So as soon as we invest that time into selling devices, it's going very smoothly. Okay. So it's not necessarily... I think most of the time it's about convincing them that they need to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so on that note, what are you at Pioneers for?
So we were selected for the top 50 as one of the top 50 startups. Today we had our pitch in the digital health area, and in about 45 minutes we find out if we've been selected as one of the top 8 startups. If we are, then we'll pitch again tomorrow, and then the Pioneer of the Year gets some investment opportunities and media opportunities and things like this.
But I'm assuming...
So we're here to meet with investors.
Yeah.
We have already secured this year in January our seed investment, and we're looking for Series A for mid of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And apart from the new markets, what else are you planning in the near future? What's on the roadmap?
So our mission is obviously to expand our team, and we've done that a bit in the last few months. We'd also like to work with some distribution partners and find somebody to manufacture the device and take that out of house.
I assume at the moment you're manufacturing in China, I guess?
Nope, we're doing it ourselves.
You're manufacturing it yourselves?
Yep.
So I'm assuming if you did move it to China, that would reduce the cost significantly.
Yes.
Or unless you're not paying yourselves, which is quite likely. But
Yes, the goal is to eventually get it manufactured by somebody else, but we have to be very careful about bringing it to China right away because things are quite easily copied in China.
I've heard this from several people actually. I think it was someone either pitched before you earlier or in the next block, I can't remember, saying that our idea will be...
It will be stolen. That was the cardio guy.
Yeah.
In those emergency situations. Blood testing.
But does it matter if you patent it anyway? And then it gets copied in China? Does it matter? How can you protect yourself? Do you know? Or?
We are not there yet.
Yeah, but generally, do you know? I just wonder, if everyone goes there to manufacture and knows that they're going to get ripped off, what do you do about it?
I have no idea. You just hope that your brand name is strong enough to be the chosen one. Okay. Yeah.
And how do you... so interestingly, I think they're here as well, the D-Hub, the new kind of German connection of various hubs to one hub, like a wheel, has put Berlin as fintech and IoT, I think. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what sector you kind of classify yourself in, but what's it like running a science, medical,
biotech, you could say,
in
life science,
in Berlin
digital health.
and Germany generally.
So we have what I find a really good vantage point. So we are actually based in Brandenburg, in Wildau. And what's nice is
Bernau.
that Wildau.
Wildau. Okay.
Yeah, just outside of Berlin. It's the same S-Bahn. So from one point, we're very close to Berlin. There are tons and tons of opportunities in terms of accelerators and meetups and startup help. On the other hand, we also have a lot of interest because we are not from Berlin specifically. Yeah. So this is sort of, in Brandenburg is where we found our investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a really good vantage point.
What brought you to this idea, or the company to this idea in the first place?
A couple things. So Uli and Kilian have known each other for a very long time, and they wanted to do a startup together. They had the idea, and Kilian and Katja was doing her PhD at the university, technical university in Wildau. She was testing lakes, so water samples, things like this for phytoplankton. And she realized that every time she needed to take a sample, she had to go to the lake, drive to the lab, do the analysis. If something went wrong, she needed more, she'd have to go back. So it was this very tedious situation. So this is sort of where the idea sprung from. And she had studied with Uli. And so the three of them got together and decided that something needs to be built, both in terms of a device as well as the computer vision aspect of it, the microscopic analysis.
Pepticom is a platform for drug discovery based on artificial intelligence. Okay. What we do is, and we are focused in the field of peptide drugs. It's a field that is growing constantly. It's over $20 billion in sales today. It's projected to grow significantly in the future. Our technology is very unique because we only need the structure of the target protein we are going to target, and in order to use our platform, all the other technologies out there today either need to know beforehand if there is something that is binding the target, or they need to physically synthesize the target in order to attack it or to find an active molecule. So we don't need all these. We use crystal structures from databases. There are a lot of databases. The biggest one is the PDB, Protein Data Bank. There's over 100,000 proteins there, so there's no problem in finding the targets that we need. They are completely free and to the public. And we use our technology in order to find different chemistries of peptides. And we have the cutting edge of peptide chemistry that we can discover. They are the only computational platform that can do that, including cyclic peptides. If you know them, they have a much better drug-like properties than other peptides used today. They are much more stable and easier to be orally available. Non-natural amino acids, D-amino acids, all of this is that this capacity or capability of discovering these molecules is very unique.
So maybe go back a step. What is a peptide?
Okay, so a peptide is a short protein.
Okay.
So there you have different amino acids that are natural. In most of the peptide drugs people take, they are composed of natural and non-natural amino acids. It's a mixture most of the time, or completely natural. It depends. So our technology can discover all of them. And the nicest thing about the technology is that we can, first of all, discover extremely fast and at lower costs. And this is what we have today. And in the future, we are going to integrate, because we are using computers and artificial intelligence. You know that 85% of each dollar you pay for a drug is wasted money on failed projects that fail after a very successful discovery. The development, they can be toxic, a lot of different problems down the road. So we are going to integrate the discovery with a prediction platform that will enable us, when we find an active molecule in the computer, to scrap all the ones that we think are going to be failures in the future. Okay, so that's basically our...
So is this for all drugs or certain drug types, or...
Okay, so peptides today are used for diabetes type 2, cancer, and a few other applications. There's a lot of potential for peptides. You have other companies that are doing good work, like Peptide Dream and Raw Pharmaceuticals. These are wet biological-based screening approaches that are, they can find active molecules. But the problem is that once they find an active molecule, if they need to optimize it, which is always the case in pharmaceuticals, you are in the dark, because you don't know how the molecule was active exactly. So you need to do a lot of work in order to understand what you need to do in order to optimize the molecule. With our platform, once we have an active molecule, we already know how it's binding, so it's a much easier effort to optimize the molecule and get to this discovery and development phase much cheaper and much faster. Okay. The applications are vast. You don't need a peptide for every kind of drug, but they can replace some of the antibodies that are used today that are extremely costly. You have an antibody for the treatment of high cholesterol. This is a very, very expensive thing. So and a small molecule will never do the job, because you need to block a protein-protein interaction, which is a huge interaction that a small molecule would never block. A peptide, because it's a bit bigger than a small molecule, can replace the antibody, which is a huge thing that blocks. So it depends specifically on not on the indication, but rather on the molecular interaction that you need. And there's a lot of space for very interesting peptides in the future, for future drugs. And market-wise, if you have an indication that you can tackle with an antibody, but you do not want the drug to cost $100,000 a year, you can also think about maybe using a peptide there. It will lower the costs.
So is this for optimizing existing drugs or also discovering new ones?
It's mainly for discovering new ones.
Okay. There's been several famous instances in history where very effective drugs have been discovered by accident.
Yeah.
And is there a concern that this kind of algorithm-based discovery will mean that there will be no accidents? No happy accidents as well? I don't know.
I don't think this would not bother me, at night, because you have a lot of, mistakes being performed all over the place all the time. Yeah. So, and we actually, I give you an example of why, even in our specific case, we tackled a receptor that is important in immunity, and we got 20 different active molecules, and some of them were activators and the other were inhibitors. Okay. And when we started, we wanted to find inhibitors. So once we found these different types of active molecules, a lot of options are opening up, because you can start a project looking for something very specific, but when you have different options down the road, sometimes it can give you an idea for something that we're not thinking about. Okay?
True. So you'll have less happy accidents, but also less bad accidents, I suppose. And actually the speed of testing means you'll probably find the happy accidents easier anyway, and more scientifically than
so not only that, it depends when you can use our platform. I will give you an example why I think in any case it will give us a better outcome, because today if you are a pharmaceutical company and you think about starting a project of discovery and development, this is a very costly thing to do. If you would have a very easy start, a very fast and let's say less expensive effort in the beginning, you would look for much more crazier ideas in the beginning, okay, because it doesn't take a lot of effort from your side. So the chances that you'll find by chance something that is interesting, I think, are much higher with this kind of technologies. Other than just trying to get into a very lengthy project, you only commit to something that already is 100% or very high chances of success from the first place.
And so what is Pepticom? Is it software? Is it hardware? Is it both?
So we are a very special company because it's a mixture of basically we are 6 employees, all of them with PhDs, at least. It's a mixture of computational chemists, biologists, we have also a PhD in pharmaceuticals. So basically that's a mixture between life science and software, and basically the platform itself, it's not a bioinformatic platform, it's a computational chemistry platform that uses artificial intelligence in order to find the best peptides that can bind a specific target.
Okay. What's the kind of biotech startup journey? I mean, I would imagine firstly it requires probably a lot of time to get things going in the first place and a lot of expertise.
Yes.
And then, I mean, are you looking to follow similar paths to other tech-related startups in terms of IPOs, or do most biotech companies want to be bought up by some major biotech company in the future? Or is there enough space in that industry because the expertise is such a small set of people that a 6-person operation can actually be a big deal in the space? Like, what's your kind of ideal journey as a biotech startup?
Okay, so we are, as I told you, that we are not a regular biotech startup. We are open to a lot of different scenarios. Okay, basically, the main route is reaching an IPO. Okay, but other options are on the table. One of our advantages, because we have a platform, we can collaborate and generate revenues quite early. So we have been generating revenues since mid-2015. So a year and a half after we were established, we already have revenues. So that's a big thing for a biotech company. Most of the biotech companies, as you know, they have at least a decade of just spending money without, any revenues. So this gives you much more flexibility. So we do collaborations, and we also develop our own products. And as I said, we are open to a few different scenarios, but the main route is going to an IPO.
Okay. And what do you see as maybe some of the exciting developments in the biotech field at the moment? What's happening that's making it particularly exciting, and what do you think will be happening very soon that will make it even more exciting?
Everybody is talking about CRISPR technology.
Oh, yeah.
It is interesting. I think it has a lot of potential. I don't know, you need a lot of regulation there, so that's, can be a bit more difficult than what people think. The outcomes, all the negative things that you will find when you develop a product.
Maybe just very quickly explain what a CRISPR... I saw it mentioned yesterday, but I would imagine people listening.
It's
Don't?
it's genome editing.
Okay.
Made easy,
Yeah.
let's say. There's a lot of promise there, but when you're talking about pharmaceuticals or genetically modified organisms, you have heavy regulation.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's something. But I think that generally speaking, the big data analysis of genomes, that I think it's one of the biggest things coming. Today sequencing became something extremely cheap. I guess we'll very soon have all our genomes sequenced and also our RNA and mRNA sequenced. So in different circumstances, that this would enable, when we know how to deal with this amount of information and really deduce interesting or important information or understandings regarding our genomes, this would open a lot of opportunities. I think this is the future.
Getting kind of really out there thinking.
Yeah.
There's always this talk of like the biohacking movement, with the singularity of biological systems, i.e. us merging with robotics and technology. But could the alternative to that actually be a much more biological solution? Instead, we end up optimizing ourselves more naturally, in quote marks. Instead, I mean, how realistic would that be? Like, actually, almost. I'm getting very fantastical here. You're probably looking at me thinking, "What is this guy talking about?" But, the ability to actually be able to sort of gene edit relatively quickly to tune our bodies.
Look, if you're talking about, I think that from technological, scientific point of view, I think we'll reach there. We'll get there. I don't know when. But it in the pace that things are happening, it can be in our lifetime.
Okay.
The question is, how would this be exactly used? Because there are a lot of potential problems.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, I guess, once if you talked to me about it a few years ago, I would tell you people would be maybe reluctant of even trying to do that. I think that when I see, humanity today, I think that actually it will be, maybe people would, try it. It will be more easy to introduce this, but still you have so many potential negative, side effects. And if this is, to be regulated, what would be the regulations for this? They are huge thing. It's actually changing the mankind to something else. But we are talking about, the potential. We're not talking something that is going to happen tomorrow.
Next week, though.
Yeah, I think that from a technological point of view, this is going to happen. I mean, we'll have the potential to do it.
Okay.
What will be done, and what would governments do, and how would people react? I have no idea.
So my name is Andra, and I'm the marketing manager at Robowunderkind. We're a team of 10 people.
Okay.
Very international team from everywhere.
Yeah.
And yes, we started this company 3 years ago.
Okay.
A team of 3 founders, and now we're, as I said, 10 people, and we have this vision to make coding and robotics accessible to everyone.
Okay.
And with everyone, I mean kids starting with 5 years old.
Yep. Okay. And how are you doing that? I could see you've got 2 little coloured blocks in front of you. One looks like it's got a pair of eyes. One looks like a belly.
Like a belly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
So what can you do with these?
Yeah, so we have different modules because it's a robotics kit.
Yeah.
It's based on different modules that have functions.
Yeah.
So, for example, the red ones, because it's all color-coded. Like the red ones are always the sensors.
Yeah.
What we have here, and which looks like eyes, it's actually the proximity sensor.
Yeah, it actually looks more like speakers, to be fair.
Yeah. So it senses proximity. If there is an obstacle in his way, he can avoid it, or you can control it with your hand. So it moves backward, when you move your hand.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. And then the belly is, it's actually a special one.
Okay.
It's an IR blaster and receiver.
All right. Okay.
So you can actually record signals from your TV, and then you can program the robot to, for example, open the TV at a certain time, or when you clap, So you can record. You can actually use it as a remote control. But we have all kinds of sensors, and we have motors. We have actually 15 different modules at Robowunderkind.
And how does Robowunderkind connect together, and how do people connect to them?
Exactly. So you mean technically how it connects the cubes, or?
Yeah, so I've seen some that, for example, connect to each other by Bluetooth, some that there are other methods. So how do they connect with each other, but also how do I then program them?
Exactly. So the modules you can connect, it's like snap-in design.
Sure.
It's very easy to do. You just have these connectors, which you can put in whichever way possible, whichever way you want, because it doesn't really matter. And then you connect it like Lego. So it's very easy. It's not with magnets. It's actually better. And the connection, as you can see, it's with Wi-Fi. So the cubes communicate through Wi-Fi. So they send data and power.
Okay.
Everything starts from the brain module, because in the brain module, which is this big one, it's the big.
Okay. All right.
One.
Okay. Yep.
You have CPU, you have battery, accelerometer, microphone, speaker inside. So you start with that, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
And like the cubes inside, they don't have like battery. Only the brain has.
Okay.
So it connects.
So the power
from
comes through. And so do I then connect to the robot by Wi-Fi? Or?
Yeah, so after you connect the cubes, in which way, for example, if you want a race car, you have to connect motors and wheels and so on. And then you open the app, and the app recognizes what modules you have, what modules you used, It sees that you have two motors and you can drive around. It sees that you have a proximity sensor. So if it doesn't see an LED matrix, it won't show it in the app.
Okay.
Because it comes up.
Okay. So I don't have to connect. That's the one thing I found with the Sam Labs kit is you had to sort of connect. You had to connect each individual one. I think. I'm not sure. I can't quite remember.
Can be, yeah.
So that's quite cool. Okay.
So then we have two apps.
And so is it one with the apps? Is it like a free reign? You can do what you like, or there's predefined things, or both?
Yeah. So what we have, it's one is called the Play app.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a like customizable dashboard for direct controlling your robot in real time. So what you do is you just take some controls from the right and you drag them on the screen. Mm-hmm. For example, if you have a race car, then you put two motors and you drive it like a joystick. Mm-hmm. Or you can write a smiley face on the LED matrix, or control the color and so on. Everything happens in real time, also the camera. So this is just for playing around, but the nice thing is the programming app, because then you can make all kinds of really interesting projects. So it's everything intuitive, very easy to understand for small kids.
Yeah, very colorful.
Very colorful. Everything is color-coded, exactly like the cubes.
Yeah.
So because, for example, like the visuals are always yellow. So even if you don't know how to read, you can still figure it out, okay? Yellow is visual, then it was very important for us to make everything exactly like the color of the cubes. Motors are always blue. And the sensors are red.
What do you do with the microphone?
With the microphone, so you can actually record your own voice.
Okay.
And then let me give you an example of a project. So, for example, it's a room guardian. You leave the robot in the room, and you put it on pause. And whenever it sees motion, for example, your mom comes in the room, it sees motion, and it triggers. Like a sound. Yeah. So you record it like, Mom, get out of my room. But it also takes a picture of her at the same time. Okay. So it sends you the picture. It's like a room guardian.
So you can also, you don't have to be programming it all the time. You can write a program that it then runs
Exactly.
until the battery runs
Yes,
out. Yes. Okay. And so I think I saw it on the back. Yeah, you currently have 6 sensors. Meteo, is that like weather?
That's like weather sensor, temperature.
Humidity and temperature.
Yeah.
Push and light button. Oh, you have a line follower? Yeah, because I've seen a lot of robots do the line following.
Also
yeah. Brain, LED screen, RGB, connectors, wheels, Lego adapter, very cool.
Yes, of course.
A wired, is that like a flixible wire?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a flexible wire.
Motor, servo, camera, and IR receiver. Okay. Mobile alarm clock. Like controlled the room guardian, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, the alarm clock is really nice because you can program it to start like the alarm at 7 a.m. and then start running to the room randomly.
So these ones in front of you, are these the final product, or are these...
These are just prototypes.
They are just prototypes.
Yeah, but as you can see, they're very robust.
Yeah, they're pretty. These look pretty good for prototypes.
Yeah.
Often,
Well, we have a good factory in China.
Often when you see... Well, yeah, often some of the others I've seen have been 3D printed and they... You know,
Okay, no. No, it's not the first prototype.
So...
And you see they have rubbery corners, so it's durable for small kids to just throw it on the floor.
This does feel like it should be a button. I keep wanting to press it. So when do you plan to release?
So we plan to ship our first batch in August.
Was it Kickstarted or something like that?
It was Kickstarter. And we're producing the first batch of 2,000 robots for Kickstarter and pre-orders on the website because we're still taking...
2,000?
Yes.
2,000 pre-orders?
Yes. We're still taking... we had 250K in pre-orders.
Okay. So that means they're about 100 each? No.
199.
199.
I mean, now on the website for Kickstarter it was 149.
Okay. Okay. And have you mostly been selling to Europe or around the world?
We have 58 countries.
Okay.
So from Kickstarter it was 58 countries, and now some more came since Kickstarter. We're we have a lot of interest from schools. We have 50 schools that pre-ordered in 16 countries.
Okay.
And the demand is really high. Like, for example, in Austria, we'll plan to ship about 200 robots to schools, and they will start using them. So it's official.
Okay. So, I mean, now it's a very cool idea and a very cool product, but you do have a few competitors in the space. It's increasingly busy. So what do you think differentiates you from some of those?
So, yes, as you said, we do have some competitors, like, for example, Lego. They have Lego Mindstorms.
That's been around for a long time.
For a long time, yeah. And there are some smaller companies like Dash and Dot, Sam Labs, and so on and so forth. However, not everything is like, for example, Dash and Dot, they're not modular. So you get a robot. The app is really intuitive as well, really nice. You can play a lot and do a lot of programs. But this is the fun thing with robots. You need to build them yourself. Like, kids need to build them. And then, compared to others, like, for example, Sam Labs, I think the app that is so intuitive and it's just dragging and dropping. And for kids, when we tested with kids, we just gave them the app. We didn't tell them anything, just figure it out, and they did in 5 minutes.
Okay. And so you say you are shipping to some schools?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 50 schools. They're mostly from Austria, from Australia, Netherlands, and the US. So these are the markets.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting markets, no?
Also, because I'm half Australian. Australia has lagged behind with ICT education. So, although there's a lot of Lego clubs there, there was a lot of people teaching, for school age, but not necessarily in schools, outside school programs. Okay. And I had a friend there who used to do the Node bots, the JavaScript robots, which is a bit more complicated, I suppose. But okay.
So it's actually really good for schools. Like, what they tell us is that it starts in primary school or actually kindergarten, because there are the possibilities. Like, you can do a flashlight, which is really easy. So when you press the button, the LED goes up. But you can also make a maze game where you leave the robot in a labyrinth, how does it get out by itself?
Yeah. Wow.
So it's different age groups, different level of difficulty. So that's what like the schools really enjoy.
How have you? How do you validate what's in the product to actually be valuable for education? Do you have someone on the team who has worked in education, or?
So we don't have in the core team someone, but we worked with educators in Austria who helped us develop this curriculum that we're sending to schools. So it resembles our projects book. It has 20 projects, but it also contains educational standards, learning outcomes, which is very important for schools. Yeah. And we plan to have consistent feedback with them, so to take feedback and then develop new projects based on this feedback.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously you're in the you're still in the phase one of getting the final product finished and then shipped out. Once that's done, what's next?
Oh,
do you plan next?
so many plans. For example, we now sell the robot in 3 kits: starter, advanced, and professional kit. We plan to make it available to just get single modules, like individual modules, which will be really important for people because they
You mean
already
single blocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Zamlabs has it as well.
A Maker Block definitely does. Yeah. Well, they have the big boxes of them, I think.
Exactly. So you can pick and choose from the website. I think this is really important for people. Then we plan to integrate with Scratch in 2018 because for schools they already use Scratch, so why not? And then in the far future, it's connecting IoT devices.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You could have a room guardian that actually is possibly a house guardian. Yeah.
House guardian, exactly.
And the app, is it, because the screenshots are just on iPad, is it just iPad? Or
no, it
just
also works with the phone.
But only iOS or?
iOS and Android.
Oh,
both.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. It just has to have this Bluetooth Low Energy.
Yeah.
So, and it has to be a smartphone. So
well,
that's it.
I think that's almost a given these days.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a Unity.
It's Unity. So I'll show you, for
I
example, the
wasn't
direct
actually
control.
aware you could do that kind of thing with Unity. That's quite cool.
So you see, like, you can take some controls from here, and you drag it on the screen. So you put it there.
Oh, yeah.
Or you take an LED display, or you can put, if you have one motor, you can put second motor, and then you press play, and you can change the color. You can draw something here. You can drive around, with 2 hands.
Yeah.
So this is like the joystick app that we have.
Yeah. And actually, just one sort of final question, because I've heard it from a few people, this event, and I never really heard it before, but apparently there's a bit of a fear of sending stuff to China to be made, because there's always this concern that you'll get ripped off. Or actually, the guy from Hacks said you will get ripped off. Not even that you might, you will.
Yeah, we were in Hacks as well, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know Ben. And he's very straightforward.
Yeah.
But there is a kind of risk when you go to China. It's not, like, people will steal your idea, whatever you do. Like, even if you're in Europe, they are very smart and very fast, and getting a patent from China is quite hard. So you need to apply
doesn't
a lot of
matter anyway.
and it doesn't really matter because they will do it anyway.
Yeah.
So we found some robots which are very similar to us on the web, but
to be blunt, I even thought Make Block looked a bit, compared to the ones from Europe,
can
look
be.
quite so. It is a lot cheaper. It's the downside, I suppose, for the European companies. It's like half the price, but it doesn't look as. It kind of looks like this, and yours is just a prototype. So,
It really depends which factory you're working with, and it's just like a luck game. So Hacks was there to help us a lot when we looked for factories and when we met them and so on. But it's still they're different people. It's a different culture, so you need to know how to talk to them. So if you get something from China, like prototypes, you're not sure that it will look right, if it will work. So you need to have this flexibility and be open for everything. But we hope to get away from China. So for the first batch, yes, but maybe the second batch or next year we're relocating. Let's see if everything works good.
Interesting.
Why not?
Okay. Cool. All right.